Sheesh. Yeah. Everybody want to be in entertainment till it's time to get down to the business. Yeah, Glitz and Ghetto, Glitz and Ghetto, yeah, Glitz and Ghetto, it's Glitz and Ghetto, Glitz and Ghetto, it's Glitz and Ghetto. The glitz and glamour is a setup, 'cause behind the scenes it really is ghetto, yeah. What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Glitz and Ghetto podcast. I'm so excited to have you guys here with me today, and we'll be talking about some really great and amazing things as we always do. But I'm so excited that you guys have decided to join me again, and I'm just excited to be here with you guys. It's been a minute. When I tell y'all, the month of April has been just jam-packed with so many different things, but it's also been so fulfilling and so heartwarming. And I can't wait to share with you guys all the amazing things that I've had going on over the last 30 days. But yeah, before we get down to the nitty-gritty, I want to make sure that we get a little bit of housekeeping done. So at this time, make sure that if this is your first time watching the podcast, be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at Glitz and _ Ghetto. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, things that you want to know about the entertainment industry, please be sure to write us a email with whatever questions that you may have at glitzandghetto@gmail.com. Let me make sure I'm telling y'all that right. I mess that up every single time. I want to make sure it's right. That is correct. That is glitzandghetto@gmail.com. Ghetto spelled GHETTEAUX @gmail.com. Because it's not just ghetto, it's ghetto. Thank you. Also, if you would like to follow me and keep up with me personally in my endeavors as a professional entertainer and all the amazing things that I have going on, please follow me on Instagram and TikTok at @IAM_Naderah. And I would love to have that follow from you. So make sure you tap in on all those things. Last but certainly not least, make sure that you are sharing, and subscribing to the content, and follow us on Apple Music, and make sure that you subscribe there if you're on Apple Podcast, or follow us on Spotify if you have it there. And then if you're on YouTube and you're watching this as a visual podcast, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel. And make sure you turn on that post notification so you know every time that I post. Now, y'all, I'm not going to lie. At the end of last year, I did my 2026 goal board and all those different things. And one of the goals that I have for 2026 is to put out 27 episodes of the podcast this year. That meant I only had to put out 2 episodes per month, and I'm already slightly behind. So hopefully I get a lot of these things done and I step into May and give y'all 4 episodes. Fingers crossed. I think I can do it because the heavy lifting of the first part of the year is pretty much settled down. So what have I been up to? So lately, life has come full circle, and it just reminded me of why I came to y'all today, because what I really want us to get into is understanding the art of delusion. Okay? And you have to live in the world of delusion sometimes when you're pursuing this career as a professional entertainer, because you have to show up and believe that you are him or her, or that you are the birthday before it is actually your birthday. Okay? Everybody needs to have this level of confidence in themselves, as if everybody has come to this moment in this time in this room for whatever reason because of you. And it is all about you. And you have to do that respectfully and humbly, but you also have to master the art of being in that moment, in that essence of, I am him, I am her, I am the birthday. You just have to do that, because that's what's going to give you the success that you aspire to have inside of this industry. Now, this episode is going to go into a little bit more detail about that, but let me tell y'all why I say you have to master that art of delusion. So a lot of times I look at my resume and I'm like, dang, Naderah, you really did that. You know what I'm saying? And it's 2 pages of everything. And you see the way I'm dressed right now. It's because I came from a athletic banquet for the school that I am a coach or the director of the dance company. So I'm currently the one of the co-directors of the dance company at the Fashion Institute of Technology, and I'm so excited about that opportunity because I never had a job like that at a collegiate level. And I just remember that when I was in college and I was getting my degree on the highest of Seven Hills in Tallahassee at FAMU, of course, Strike Again. I was in a dance class with Dr. Gaynell Sherrod, and I just was so I admired that woman so much. And I always thought that like at some point in my career, I would go to a college campus and become a dance teacher as a professor or whatever. But this is like a part of that journey. So tonight I awarded a lot of my teammates or my students, team members with different awards on behalf of the athletic department. And I just think it's so cool that the Fashion Institute of Technology actually has a dance team. Like, who knew a fashion school had a dance team? But either way, I'm honored to be that. But my boss introduced me to his boss today and was like, "This is the world famous Naderah." And I'm like, "Why are you saying world famous?" He's like, "Oh, I read your resume. I read your biography. You're famous." And I never think of myself that way. I just walk into rooms confidently. I walk into rooms knowing that, like, I work really hard for the things that I have, but it's also like you have to be in the presence of I am it because people see that inside of you. And I feel like my boss would have recognized that energy inside of me, even if he never read my bio. My bio just also gave that stamp of approval that, like, oh, yeah, she is who she says she is because she walked into the room as such. Okay. And why do I say that? Because I'm a person that not only have I had success in the professional, the commercial dance industry, but I also have my education. I also have a professional resume that is not to be played with. Yes, Parkwood Entertainment is also on my professional resume because I worked as an executive assistant to someone who was also working with Parkwood Entertainment when Baychella was being created. Okay. So I do have it on my resume as a dancer, as a performer, but I also have it on my professional resume because I also worked with that organization. In addition to those things, I am an educator. You know, I've been teaching for so many years. I got almost 16 plus years of experience underneath my belt. I also have my degree. So all those things come together and it lets me know that I'm her. So I walk around with this air that I know that I'm confident in who I am. And I believe that everybody should just know that. And I don't do it in an arrogant way, but I do think that confidence sometimes can intimidate other people, but that's not your problem to deal with. And so today, what I want to talk to you guys about is, mastering what that art of delusion looks like. Before I was who I am today, I had this air as if I had the experience, as if I had the resume, as if I had all the things before I actually stepped into it. Because what we don't realize, and I talked about this before, that spiritual aspect of it, the energy that you put out, that's what the universe gives back to you. That's what God gives back to you. That's what you create your world to be. So if you are existing in that energy, the world has no choice and the universe has no choice but to adjust to accommodate for that energy that you have because you have already attracted those things to you. Okay. That's the law of attraction. You have to walk into rooms knowing that you're the star. Oftentimes, I hear people on social media, these coaches, etc., talking about when we're looking for talent, we're looking for a star. Well, the star is not just based on talent because everybody got talent. Everybody has something that they can do, whether you can read those lines and regurgitate them very well, whether you can hit every boom cack step, whether you can sing the highest, the lowest, and your range is impeccable. Everybody is walking to the room with some level of talent, one way, shape, or another. But what is that star quality that people are looking for? What is that, the je ne sais quoi that people can't touch, but they can see it and they want it on their stages? That's that presence. That's that delusion, if you will, because a lot of times, especially if you're listening to this podcast, you probably have not had your first job yet. You probably are going into auditions and you're getting cut and you're not understanding why they're not booking you because you hit all the steps. You did everything correctly. You've been doing all the things in class, So why they're not booking you? Because you have this fear and this doubt inside of your mind that you're not going to be chosen. So you're coming in there nervous. You're coming in there with the jitters, and that is perfectly normal. But you got to get into a moment where you can like meditate and tap in with yourself to realize that like they came here to see me. I know everybody else came in here to book a job, but I already booked the job. And you dressed for the job. You look like what the era or whatever time period that job in particular is casting for. You're doing the work, you've done all the steps, and you stepped into that room boldly and confidently, and you hit the step. You sang the note. You recited those lines and you embodied that character. They'll have no choice but to book you because you have that star power that they are looking for. You have to also understand that you bring something so unique to the table because no one is going to make the same choices that you are making. And we always talk about being a smart dancer, actor, singer. You got to make those smart choices without remixing what someone else did. And I think that's where a lot of us go wrong sometimes. Like we get so emboldened to ourselves, we get so confident in ourselves. And it's great that you have that star power and that energy that I'm the it person. But also, you have to make sure that you're not taking someone else's vision and remixing it and making it your own. You can take it and you can put a little bit of your own, salt on it, or you got hot sauce in your bag, you put a little salt on it, or a little hot sauce on it, but you can't completely change somebody's meal. There was writers that worked hard to create that script, recite the lines as such. There was a vocal arranger who said, "Oh my God, I love this melody. This is what it sounds like." Do it as they say. As a dancer, there's choreographers who spend hours and workshop with dancers and this and that and the third degree to come together to put together the steps that they're teaching you. Don't remix they step. That took a lot of hard work. And when it's your turn to be behind the creative team and to make those decisions, you make it then. But until then, don't be remixing somebody else's things. Okay, Miss Girl. Next, you have to believe in yourself. And I know we talk about that as if it's just like, oh, you've been hearing that since you were a kid, but you have to believe in yourself because one thing about it, everybody else inside of that room don't believe in you the way that you believe in yourself. They're not rooting for you the way that you're rooting for yourself. Your family don't understand the path that you've decided to take because it's not that lucrative unless you absolutely make it and how many people actually make it. And you got to have that belief in yourself that you know that this is going to happen for you. Okay? To this day, my grandfather, I love him so much. I love him so much. He about to catch a stray right now. I hope I don't get in trouble. But to this day, my grandpa asked me, he's like, "What are you up to? You still doing the acting and dance and stuff? When you gonna go and use that accounting degree?" Grandpa. I'm doing both, okay? But I refuse to give up on my dream. And I know my grandfather believes in me, and I know he's very proud of the things that I've done over time. But you got to understand to certain generations and to certain people, that's what we do as entertainment professionals is not a real job to them. It's like a hobby. And it's like, it was a hobby when I was a kid because I had to go to school and get my schoolwork done. But this is my life now. I believe in this and it is paying my bills and it is making me successful. By the way, speaking of, have y'all gotten into the new aesthetic of the studio? Art designed by me, set designed by me. I'm very proud of it. Thank you. But yeah, I digress. You have to also understand that you have unique skills, whether that's being funny, whether that's being organized, whether that's being extremely professional, timely, dependable, having money, being exceptionally, undeniably talented. Why do I say that? Because whatever those things are that make you unique are the things that are going to stand out and help you to get jobs. Prime example, there was a point in time where I was represented by an agency in Atlanta. Shout out to 411 South. And my agent at the time was like, "I'm only sending this audition out to certain people who I know can get there." And I don't know why my agent knew that she knew that I could get there. I mean, I did walk around with a certain level of confidence. I did dress very well. I was always about my business whenever it came down to it. And even my agents now understand, like, you are about your business, dear. And I'm so thankful that they know that because I am. But with that being said, She said, there's an audition in LA tomorrow. If you can get there for the audition tomorrow, you have a really great chance at being in the Super Bowl. I had posted it on my story, okay? And when I looked up the flights to get to LA and to come back, because I had another opportunity that I needed to seize in Atlanta the next day after the audition, the flights were $800. And I don't know if $800 is a lot of money to y'all, but to me at that time, it was a lot of money. It was a lot of money. And at that time, quiet as it's kept, I didn't have a boyfriend paying for the things for me and all the, which I typically like to, that's another story for another day. I typically date very professional men who love and they take care of me, and that's just been my history. But at that time, I did not have a partner or someone that I loved that I was dating that believed in the dream and was helping me to fund my career. Okay. I was doing it all by myself. So that $800 that I had, that I put to the side, because I'm really big on saving and investing my money in places so that when the opportunity comes, I can move and shift like I need to. I was able to do that. And what did I do? I jumped on a flight. I got off the phone with her, first of all. I booked the flight. It was $500 to get there and maybe like $350 to get back. It was like a really expensive flight, but whatever. I booked the flight. As soon as I got off the phone with her, I flew to LA. I got to LA in the middle of the audition. Shout out to Kendall, who was one of Beyonce's dancers now, whatever. She is a really sweet girl. I feel like I talked about this before in another episode, but she came into the room, in the holding room, and she taught me the choreography. She like did it on camera. I learned it from the video and then went inside of the room and did the callback with everybody that was in there. I ended up booking the job. That was my unique skill, because there were so many other dancers, and I've never said this, but I am not the best dancer in the world. I'm just not. I'm not. And I think a lot of us would do a lot better if we realize that we are not the best craftsmen in our craft. We try our hardest, but there's always someone better. And trust me, I've been in rooms with people who are like impeccable. But you know what I knew I had? I knew I had professionalism. I knew that I had technique. I knew that I had talent. I knew that I had a look. I knew that I had a nice body. I knew that I had all the other things that make the package come together, because what they don't tell you is that talent isn't enough. It's not enough. And I had that star power. I walked into the room like, baby, I know I got this. And she might be over there hitting a step a little harder than me, but I'm still going to book this job over her, because I have all the other things that she not even thinking about checked off on my list. She didn't come in here with a costume that looked like the job. She just got on her regular clothes. I already got a one up on her. Her face ain't beat like mine. Get into the makeup. Thank you. Also, I've worked with this team before. They know my professionalism. They know that I'm going to be on time. They know that if I have to shake and shift and move the way that I need to in order to make this job happen, they know that I can do that. Right? And so even though I know that I didn't have the same amount of like talent in my being as the girl who was dancing right next to me, I still knew that I was going to get the job, because I had that delusion that like they couldn't even see her. And maybe she did get the job, but my point is not to focus on her. The point is to focus on me and to be in my own world and know that I got this, and that everybody's watching me, even if they only looking to the right. They still see me and they see my energy, which that didn't happen to me in the time. However, you understand what I'm trying to say. The next thing that I want to talk about is, a lot of people have classes that you guys can take in order to, break into the industry. You're listening to, these casting directors, you listen to these choreographers, you're listening to all these people who have these opportunities that you are seeking to go after. But what they're not telling you inside of these classes is that those classes alone are not going to book you. They're really good for relationships. They're really good for, just being in the space and getting some of those tools and those techniques. But you already take class on a regular basis. That's something that you do every week on a weekly basis. For actors, you're already inside of those classes where you paid for those master classes on a monthly basis, and you in a class for 3-4 months at a time because you got this huge package. Dancers, you can go to any studio in any city and take classes for $20, and y'all in there and y'all posting the footage on social media. But as you realize, taking those classes are never enough. It's not just about the class. How are you taking the class? When you get with these coaches, excuse me, when you get with these coaches, are you embodying something? What are you bringing to the table? Are you just getting into yourself in the mirror? Are you just taking your footage so that you can post it on your social media? Or are you really digging into this character and embodying it and acting out what that character might be so that you have that extra spark that the person next to you does not have? Transparently, I was in a workshop over the last 2 days, which I'm so thankful for. And, the choreographer inside of this workshop talks about, I need you guys to do a little bit of acting for me. And transparently, it was for a show that I had already auditioned for. I had made it all the way to the final callback. And for whatever reason, I didn't get the job. But God, from my mouth to your ears, please just let the doors open. With that being said, I'm in this workshop for the job that I made the final callback for, but I ultimately didn't get the job. And I know what the show was looking for. The choreographer said, embody these characters and do those things. Now, when we started doing the movement, I'm the only person in the room acting. I embodied the character. And I don't know what it did, but I'm hopeful that it left an impression. And as I was packing up my things to pack up and get ready to go, I overhear the associate and the choreographer talking about, yeah, she just really gave it a lot of character. That's the difference between some of these artists that we have. Can the dancers really get into their acting bag? Can they really embody a character? Same thing has to go for a singer. It has to go for anybody that is in front of the camera, models as well. You have to embody those things. One thing that I want to make sure I always emphasize in every episode is that even though I say that those master classes aren't necessarily teaching you, that je ne sais quoi, it's just like whatever. You're usually going there to like practice the things that you've already done inside of your typical classes on a weekly, monthly, whatever basis. What I want to say is that when you're in there, make sure that you're emphasizing relationships. Make strong connections. If I don't tell you anything, if you don't get anything else from this podcast, please, please, please understand that relationships are everything in this industry. Everything. Most of the jobs that I've gotten have been because of relationships. I was able to dance for Meg the Stallion, and I think I said this in another episode as well. I was able to dance for Make the Stallion because I knew the choreographer. Hey, we in LA. Are you available? Sure. Yes, I am. Okay, I got the job. I did the VMAs last year because I knew the casting coordinator. Hey, are you available to do this job? Yes, I am. Boom, I got the job. And that's happened so many different times. Even my way getting onto the stage at Coachella, it was because of relationships. I was able to dance with Meg the Stallion because of the relationships that I made at Coachella. And that's happened so many different times. You have to be making sure that you are tapping in with these relationships. Is so essential. It's so essential. What I want to say next is that I want to make sure that you guys understand that there's not a lot of classes that are teaching you about the business of the entertainment industry. And a part of why I started this podcast is simply because there's nobody talking about the nitty-gritty things that are happening behind the scene, how you actually make it. What they show you is that, oh, you moved to LA, Atlanta, New York City, and you go after your dream, and you take class, and you audition, and you audition, and you audition, and you audition, and then you get the job. And then what? Because what's happening is that you get on the job, and you don't know how to scout yourself for an agent after you've gotten your first job, because most people aren't getting an agent before they got a job. Agents want to have people on their roster who are bookable. So if you ain't booked a job before, they're probably not going to sign you. Unfortunately. Unless they see something super spectacular in you, or a choreographer is like, I really like this person, you should sign them. Because that choreographer is, guess what, going to do? Book them. That director of a show is actually going to book that person. So they need representation. That's just a nugget. Don't say I never taught you nothing. But you need to get in classes that are going to teach you about the business of the industry. I know Kiki Eli has a platform called The Room. I'm not sure if she's still doing those right now, but those kind of take you into like what happens inside of a regular rehearsal, preparing for a tour, etc. That's a part of the business. But also, are there any classes teaching you how to fill out your paperwork? As a person who has a financial service firm, shout out to Entertainers Financial, I'm constantly teaching entertainers the different things that they have to do in order to maximize their income and their savings and their investments in order to survive inside of this industry. If I ain't said it before, I'm going to say it again. It's expensive to do this as a career. You're going to invest a whole lot more money inside of your career before you start to see a return on that investment. That's why it's called an investment. Your headshots, your body shots, you're taking classes, you're printing out those headshots, you travel to and from the auditions, and you're going to have thousands of auditions. You got to get your hair done for the photo shoot. You got to get your nails done for the performance. You have to buy the clothing to go to the red carpet. It's expensive. It is expensive. In addition to that, you're going to have to fill out paperwork. What are my withholdings looking like? Why do I owe so many taxes at the end of the year? Because you got to find a class that's going to teach you those things. And I got a bright idea. I teach a class called In the Pocket. So make sure y'all tap into that. I haven't taught one in a while, but it's important for you guys to know these things so that you can take your career to the next level. You got to know the business, and people aren't teaching you the business. One of the most dangerous things this industry doesn't want is a well-informed, educated, business-minded artist. They are afraid of that. Why? Because once you know the business, you're not going to settle for these pennies that they're trying to throw at entertainers. You're not going to be the choreographer that takes on a job just because producers want a tax write-off. And they don't care whether the show does well or not. They just want a nice little paycheck because they don't want to have to pay a high tax bill. You're not going to be the dancer that's going on to do a music video for $600 maximum. You're not going to be the actor that, you see what I'm saying? It goes on and on and on and on. And there's so many ways that artists are being taken advantage of. Heck, we've seen it happen all over the 90s. We see what's happening in the music industry now, where most artists are independent because people can't be taken advantage of anymore. The most dangerous threat that the entertainment industry doesn't want to have is a well-informed, business-minded, educated artist entertainer. They want the talent to be so focused on the artistry that they're distracted from all the money that everybody else is making off of them. Don't let that be you. It doesn't have to be you. Okay? But getting back into it, going back into that art of delusion and how do you hone in on those skills. We talked about taking those classes, but also I want you guys to make sure that in order for you to step into this art of delusion, in order to step into this I am the it person, you got to have some additional skills. So get into some classes that are going to give you extra tools inside of your toolkit. Whether that's if you're a model, make sure you go take a dance class so you know how to move on camera. If you're an actor, go take a dance class so that you can know how to hit the step if you decide to do a musical. And this one is especially for my singers because you guys and gals, y'all can sing y'all faces off. But when y'all get into the audition room, oh, y'all get the easiest steps. Go take somebody dance class, please. Okay? Singers, y'all got it great, okay? Y'all got a sweet, sweet deal. But what I'm trying to say is even if you are a dancer, make sure you go get in some vocal classes. Make sure you go do those things that make you more valuable. And to everyone, make sure you have some of those specialty skills. What are some things that everybody can't do? Everybody can't roller skate and do all that cool stuff like Miss Camille or Dancing Desi or Keontae. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can't pole dance. I got a friend, Coy Malone. Oh my God, amazing pole dancer. She does stunt doubling in like different shows like P Valley and all those sort of things like that. Whatever those alternate skills are, even if it's so much as HBCU dance, which you girls like to call majorette, and it's not. Hmm. Can you break dance? What are your specialty skills? Do you have an accent that you can bring to it? Can you sing in a different language? You got to get in those classes that are going to make your toolkit even more robust than the person that's standing next to you because Sometimes you're up against a person in a job, and one for one, y'all everything. But what stands out more for you is that you have those specialty skills that they don't have, so that you're more valuable to the production team. So make sure that you are in those classes, and so that you can show up boldly and understand that you are the birthday. Everybody's here to see you. You are creating something that no one has ever seen before. You are a phenomenon that they've been waiting to see. You have to embody that. You have to create this world and this space and this experience of you as an entertainer so that you have that it factor. Okay. And what I want to say is that, a lot of us as professional entertainers, we are so sensitive about our craft. What Erica Badu said, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my ish. She said that because we are very sensitive about that. And we all have a lot of insecurities. Per usual, we're putting our hard earned, like, craft out to be scrutinized by people who may not appreciate it and who could never do the same thing, even if they tried. Prime example, Michael Jackson. And if you haven't seen the movie yet, go see it. I haven't seen it, but I'm about to go see it. With that being said, he suffered from a lot of insecurities about his skin, about his nose, about his hair, about all those things. But he showed up on stage and he was bold and confident and a megastar. People who aren't even born yet are going to be fans of Michael Jackson. His legacy is never going to die. I think he's the greatest artist of any lifetime. And if another artist comes that is of his caliber, which I doubt it'll ever happen, but if it ever does come, wow, I think the next in line is Beyonce. She'd have to be next in line, but I think even then, Michael Jackson's star power was still just like it can't be contained or combined. Michael Jackson had his own insecurities. And to be honest, there's a lot of celebrities that have their own insecurities. A lot of these people are like afraid because it took so much for them to get there. They had to be in that art of delusion. They had to be in that delusional state as if they were the it person in order to get to where they are. And so when that veil is so thin, anybody could snatch it. They're very sensitive about those things. So if you are a professional dancer, if you are an actor, if you are a singer, just be mindful about like how you show up inside of the room with that confident energy and that it girl, it boy, I am the birthday energy because, other people are very sensitive to it. Um I would also say I'm going to talk about some of my personal experiences with, my confidence. I'm a very confident person. I'm also very respectful and I'm also very humble. I don't think that I come off, in a way that is off-putting, but I can't say that I haven't had experiences where people haven't expressed their, indifference towards me. So I was one time in a position where I was working with this amazing choreographer and I was talking to them because they had asked me to assist them in a certain capacity. And I definitely, really took this job very seriously because I was working with someone who I highly respected and I just had so much revere and admiration for them. And so I took my job that they gave me very seriously. And I really wanted to show my professionalism. And when I did do that, they explained to me, they were like, just relax a little bit. The energy that you have right now is coming off a bit pushy. And I know that's not your intention, but just make sure that, like, you just settle a little bit. Just be mindful of how you're like going about things. I don't want people to get the wrong impression about you. I don't want them to feel intimidated by you. And I didn't understand it. And I apologized to them for coming off that way. But I also did explain, like, you have never trusted me with something like this. And because you see that value in me to withhold this position under your team, I do take that very seriously. And I want to make sure that if I have to be your eyes and ears in a very specific space, I want to give you very detailed information so that you can make the best decision possible because I'm your only eyes and ears in this particular space. And I want you to not be blindsided should anything else come up, which they understood that, but I took the note and I made the adjustment and it was great to the end. I will also say that there was a situation where I was working with an artist and I can sing. I can sing, I'm very proud that I could sing. If you see these images back here, that's from when I put out my EP like many years ago when I first started my career. But I was in a position where I was working with an artist, but I was also pursuing Broadway at the time. So I still had like many auditions. So I was like doing vocal warm-ups while I was around them, or I was like singing different songs from the auditions that I had to go tape after rehearsal or after shows, etc. Because, one job don't stop the next one. I gotta finish this job and I have to go to the next one. And that artist felt, in my opinion, I can't confirm, but I guess that artist felt intimidated by the fact that I was doing these things because I guess they thought that I was going to try to come for their job or their position, but I have no desire to be that. I don't want to do it. Like, I tried it. It was a very dangerous, avenue, and maybe I'll tell you guys a story about that one day, but that's just not the path that I wanted to take. I really just wanted to pursue my path. I wanted to do my job with that artist, and then I wanted to go on and be able to do other things. And so ultimately, I was let go from that job just because I do feel that like my talent threatened their position, and they had worked very hard to get to where they are, which I get it. I don't have any hard feelings about it. There's still all love between myself and that artist. But such is life. The point that I'm trying to make is that, like, you have to be mindful of that energy that you carry because people can feel it. And in this industry, it's very fickle and people are intimidated by that. They're very intimidated by that. But what I will say also is that just because they're intimidated by it doesn't mean that you don't get to show up, because their insecurities has nothing to do with you. You still have to stand boldly in who you are and show up in the best capacity that you know how, because just because that artist who only has an opportunity to book you with them, whatever they have going on, there's hundreds of other artists. There's thousands of other opportunities where one monkey don't stop no show. Okay. You have to continue to push forward. Stand boldly in who you are. Be confident in who you are. Have that internal it person energy, but also be humble enough and aware of your surroundings enough so that you are not intimidating people or rubbing people the wrong way, because the same thing that got you in the room could be the same thing that intimidates the artist or the production company that you're working for. And that's the last thing you want to do. You don't want to come off arrogant. You want them to feel that star power, but you also want to make sure that like you're not coming off as like diva devo. That's not what this is about. Okay. When I talk about this art of delusion, nobody does that better than social media influencers. Let me tell you, I get so mad at myself because I'm just like, I've worked so hard to hone in on my craft my whole entire life. And you mean to tell me that somebody that sweeps their floor with ASMR has more followers than me and it's getting brand deals and it's getting opportunities over me because their following is so large because y'all like the way something sweeps on the floor? Like, you had to have a lot of audacity and confidence in order to make yourself a star on social media. Look at all these reality stars. I mean, I don't watch this show, but baddies and all that sort of stuff. A lot of these people are coming from social media and they're getting famous as influencers, and they're getting the jobs, they're getting the opportunities. Meg Thee Stallion went viral on social media first, and then she got more publicity, and then she got more music, and now she's all the way to Broadway. Never mind that she left, and a lot of people think it's because, of her breakup. I just think Broadway is really difficult. 8 shows a week is not for the weak. Okay. With that being said, there's also other people who believed in themselves and just had that level of delusion that got them to stardom. Look at Ice Spice. I don't know the allure. Shout out to her for making it happen. Big guy, big guy. All the way to the SpongeBob movie. SpongeBob, big guy, hands on me. She had a lot of confidence in herself. She thought she was that girl, and look at her. Now she is. Another artist I want to call out, Sweetie. Y'all dog Sweetie so bad. Another artist, Young Miami, Carisha. Another artist, JT, the City Girls. Y'all down those people so bad. Oh, Carisha can't rap. Oh, Saweetie can't rap. And when they rap themselves all the way to stardom, they're still doing well to this day. So what can you say? Nothing but take a page from their book and implement that into your strategy. Implement that into your career. You just got to have that confidence and that delusion so bold, because the same people that's talking smack about you, oh, you're never going to make it. You don't have the talent. You don't have this. You don't have that. They're going to be carrying your bags. They're going to be taking pictures of you. They're going to be asking to take photos with you. They're going to be coming to your concerts. They're going to be coming to your shows. They're going to be following you on social media because guess what? That's what people do. You got a bunch of naysayers, but you have a huge audience of people that will love you for exactly who you are. And so you have to know confidently that that is who you are and step boldly into that. What I will say is that inside of my career, I remember when I was a nobody and people were so mean and people were not nice and they were gatekeeping and they were doing all those things. That time does not last always. The same people who were your enemies will become your footstool. And I hate to turn this into a gospel moment, but God said, your enemies will become your footstool. You want to know why? Because they have that anger and that vitriol inside of them that they don't see your greatness, but you have to see it inside of yourself. And that's the only way that you get to make it in here because in this industry, because there's a lot of naysayers. And you're going to hear no from so many people. You're going to hear no more times than you hear yes. But you have to persevere. You have to know that rejection is just redirection. And the name of the game is to pivot into your purpose because we all come into this and we just think that I'm going to do this my way and it's just going to happen the way that I want it to. And if you ever want to make God laugh, tell him exactly what your plan is. It never happens that way. Because let me tell you, when I started in this industry, I went to LA. I was the it girl when I got out there because I was the best dancer at my studio. And I had overcome the naysayers and everybody who said that I would never make it from high school. And they went on to do all their own different things. They weren't doing what I was doing. So I went to LA and I just knew that I was going to make it. And I was going to follow the J-Lo path. And I was going to start as a dancer and I was going to book a job. And I just thought I would book a job as soon as I got out there. That was delusional for sure. Okay. It just really doesn't work like that for most people, honestly. But I just knew that I was going to book a job. And then from there, I was going to, get an acting job. And then from acting, I was going to start singing. But then you get to LA, you get to Atlanta, you get to New York, and everybody want to follow the J-Lo path. Everybody wants to take that path. It's only so many people that can fit through that door. It's only but so many. And guess what? You got to figure out a different way to make it happen because for me, when I got to LA chewed me up and spit me out for many other reasons outside of my professional career, but we're not going to talk about that here. Okay? Maybe one day when I'm ready. But right now, it's not that time. Whatever the case is, you have to make sure that you are able to pivot and not let that rejection from those audition rooms and the mean looks from the naysayers and the haters and the people who laugh at you, etc. Trust me, they will be your footstool one day. Okay? Stay bold, stay confident, stay proud. Keep your feet grounded. Find yourself a spiritual foundation that you can really tap into. Meditate, pray, tap into that inner being. Who are you as an artist? What is your identity? What do you want to be remembered for? What is that unique quality that makes you powerful as an artist? And it doesn't have to be just one quality because there's a multitude of things that can come together that make you the ideal candidate for a job. I was blocked out of a lot of things simply because, I was too tall or I was too skinny or it's a bunch of different things, but everybody has their own path. And so my final words to you are stay grounded, stay bold, and stay proud of who you are. And just know that the more you continue to do this, the easier it gets. Well, that's not true. The more you continue to do this, the more tenacity and perseverance that you get, the more strength that you get to continue to go forward. I have my moments to this day where I feel like, oh, do I want to quit? Do I want to give up? And I remind myself that I didn't come this far just to come this far. You got to believe in yourself in a way that is just relentless. And I ran I ran a half marathon last week, Sunday, which I'm so proud of. Woo, 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 woo. That was actually this week. I ran on Sunday. And it just reminded me of my career. Like I started off with a nice steady pace And then I got to that 1 hour mark, and I hit the 7 miles, and then pain started to settle in, and I felt like I wanted to give up, and I felt like I had just overcome all these different things. Why is that? Why is my body wanting to give out now? And then I was able to push forward, and I saw somebody in the crowd that I recognized, and it made me so happy to see them. And they gave me a hug and kept rooting me on because they saw my social media that I said that I didn't have anybody out there to support me. They showed up and showed me love. I was able to push forward, just like I have community members that show up when they see me getting down and feeling defeated, that helped me to push forward to keep going on. And then I got to the 10-mile marker, and then my knees started to give out because life gone life and things happen. But I said, do you know what, Naderah? You didn't come this far just to come this far. It's 3.1 more miles left inside of this. You run 5Ks every day. That's what you do. That's what this podcast started from. The morning run afterthought, sharing those things that happen to you on your run. And so I said, you know what, that last 5K, I'm going to hit it. And so what did I do? I found the energy inside of me, and I kept pushing. I kept pushing. I kept pushing. I kept pushing. And I even beat the time that I imagined that I said that I would do. I said I would do it in 2 hours and 15 minutes. I beat that time by 9 minutes. How does this translate to my life? Because I have gone through so many different jobs inside of my career. I've hit so many peaks. I've hit so many heights. I've done all the things. And then at a certain point, I got tired. I had to pivot. I had to do something different. And then when I started to feel like I was getting defeated in that time, my family, my tribe showed up, and they supported me and they pushed me forward. And I kept going and I kept going. And then just as life will have it, I got an injury. I had something that came up in my personal life that stopped me and prevented me from like going at the speed that I was going consistently at the beginning of it. So I had to take a pause and a break. I had to stretch. I had to do what I need to do. And then I had to continue going forward and remind myself that I've done this before. This is not hard. This is something easy. If I take it in small bite-sized chunks, I can continue to go forward. And what did I do? I exceeded my own expectation. I had the audacity to believe in myself. And I'm telling you right now that you just got to have that audacity to believe in yourself and know that you are everything that this industry is missing and that this industry is looking for. That confidence is going to show up so boldly inside of these rooms, and it's going to book you and give you the career that you always dreamed of. And I want that for you. I really do. Anyway, I'm getting emotional. This has been another episode of the Glitz and Ghetto podcast. I hope that this has been valuable for you. Please like, share, and subscribe. Share it with any of your friends who are going through similar things inside of the industry. And please, 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 please do me the biggest favor and send us an email at glitzandghetto@gmail.com, because I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear your stories. I want to hear the perspectives that you guys have. I want to hear if there's anything I could do to help you work through your situation. I talk to artists all the time, and I'm like, write the show. Let's talk about it. Whether you're in fashion, whether you're in modeling, whether you're a dancer, a singer, actress, producer, writer, director, we want to hear from you guys. If there's anything I could do to help you push your career forward, I absolutely want to do that. I thank y'all so much for tuning in. I love y'all so, 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 so much, my Glitz and Ghetto babies. Please share this, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace. Sheesh. Yeah. Everybody want to be in entertainment till it's time to get down to the business. Yeah. It's all smoke and mirrors. What you can't see behind our public figures. Know you convinced by the glitz and the glam, but let's talk about how it really goes down. The sleepless nights, the sacrifice, your rate of pay, the you distress. Yeah, they want you to stay in your lane. Got too many talents with your claim to fame. Opportunities unlimited. Look at Naderah. That girl is living it in. She bringing out all of her friends to talk about it so you understand. They talk about all of the noise all over the blogs and in the tabloids. So teaching the industry lessons they learn. So turn up the volume so you don't get burnt. Film and TV, she does that. Theatrical, she been that. And Glitz and Ghetto is our podcast to show you how to achieve that. You were born to entertain, but this ain't for leisure. You came to get paid. The Glitz and Glamour is a setup, cause behind the scenes, it really is ghetto. Yeah, Glitz and Ghetto. Glitz and Ghetto. Yeah, Glitz and Ghetto. Glitz and Ghetto. You were born to entertain, but this ain't for leisure. You came to get paid. The Glitz and Glamour is a setup, cause behind the scenes, it really is ghetto. Yeah, Glitz and Ghetto.
ghetto. It's Glitz and Ghetto. The Glitz and glamour is a setup, cause behind the scenes it really gets ghetto.